Hey guys, what's shaking? You've just joined the Wicked Lady Hippie at the bar. I fidget. I'm a hippie. It kind of dates my ass. Cheers. I call it my stiffener. I like my whiskey on the rocks. My husband buys me these little bottles, and they have a little cinnamon burst at the end. It's called a whiskey fireball. The only time I do that is I hear I'm loud. When I'm here at the bar, which is generally when I'm doing my podcast. Since I do this from my bar, I'm the only one here. There's not a sound person. There's nobody dropping videos. I don't have somebody doing hair and makeup and clothes. Well, for hell, I mean, nobody even does the bar but me. So this is it. I like doing this because I think that it's something that we hippies can get together and do the same thing we used to do, only now, when they deliver it to our door, it's not illegal. I didn't think I'd live long enough to see that shit. There's nothing on the table that I have to talk about, unless somebody, let me throw up my live chat, sorry guys, and request something. I usually just get up here and talk about whatever the hell crosses my mind. Again, hippie. And the only thing I'm going to destroy is a bag of Oreos, which doesn't bode well for my age. So yes, I have my little cigarillo, and a little bit of whiskey on the rocks. And then I have to go back to doing the things I've been doing, which is sweeping, mopping, dusting, vacuuming, changing bedding, and then I have to finish up with this, make dinner, and get all that cleaned up. And yeah, I can't figure out how retirement, so I'm hoping others are like me, where I don't know how I got all of this stuff done when I was working, let alone 2 jobs in college and raising a kid, and, alone. Although I've been married for many years now, and he is technically the child's father. And background, Army veteran, published author, wife, grandmother of 2. My grandson's also an Army veteran, which again dates me. Be kind, guys, come on. There's all kinds of crap going on in the world that I could talk about. The one thing that I usually get up here and opine about, excuse me, I'm having one of those days, is the fact that we hippies haven't really stood up as a, just a second. I didn't vote for that. Yeah, I'm not represented in Congress. I'm not sure why you've got somebody in Congress that's, from Somalia or Pakistan, or I could have swore it was the United States Congress, and that nobody in the United States was supposed to hold public office unless they were a natural born citizen. And I'm not sure a refugee actually qualifies for that, but I digress. These are the things I wanted to talk about, because hippies usually are, well, we just storm on through. We have cats. Yeah, you get where I'm going with this. Now, Donnie, I'm losing it. Okay, we back. You guys I'm the only one here? Donnie, President Trump, I think he's funny as shit. I like him. He's an asshole, but he's our asshole. He's the commander-in-chief. I would have served him as I had served the president throughout my entire life. I live next to the base. I'm retired. I'm still next to a base. Here I am in Augusta, Georgia. I moved here about 15 years ago, longest I have ever lived anywhere. And that's kind of really weird to me. My son is an exit away. My grandchildren are an exit away. My grandson, when he got back from Korea, stayed with us. It was during the pandemic. So we had turned the upstairs into apartments so that we, weren't clashing together and all that. And it worked out great. I loved it. My husband's still up there. These things just kind of happen when you get older. Ladies, I do want to have a little bitty thing that I usually talk about when I get up here. I've noticed that there's Chinese dramas that seems to have caught on apparently worldwide. And when I look at these young men, I can tell why. I think there's women across the world that just faint while they're watching these. They have made the kiss you in the close up so long that they have my total respect. Be like 5 minutes later, they're the ones I like are the ones that just grab them. Those are fun. But I mentioned this because I thought, okay, this is weird. I'm seeing these. I watch YouTube a lot. I don't do MSNBC, none of that for 30 years. They call them legacy media for a reason. They're not media. They're political and racist programs. That's all they've got. They got nothing. We'll have 4 earthquakes, 2 volcanoes, a tsunami, a forest fire, tornadoes throughout the Midwest of the United States. You won't hear a flipping thing on any of that on those stations. So I was wanting to say that hippies unite. Stand up and go, wait a minute, we didn't do this. The generations before us, because they didn't leave Congress, they were there till they died in the seat in some cases. They wheeled Dianne Feinstein into a vote, and she asked them what they were voting for, and they said, it doesn't matter, just vote no. Woman was on a gurney. She died like 4 days later. I'm like, so why are these people with these hundreds of millions of dollars that they could not have possibly have gained on their salaries had they kept all of it, every dime, the whole time they were there? They couldn't have been worth $200 million. Yeah, got to wonder, yeah, that's the husband's doing the trading. Poor Martha Stewart went in for insider trading. The woman didn't do a damn thing but go, huh? Where people called her and said, we did this stock, we did that stock. That's why they were hired. She went to jail for it. Now, the woman from Somalia, again, I'm not sure why she's there, and in particular, still there, since Minnesota has built the United States out of literally $1 billion or more. I don't know why everybody who's been in office, period, for the last decade, under these people, are not down. I certainly don't understand how she can keep a seat in Congress. Don't know how she got it. Again, I could be wrong. Maybe I'm in a parallel universe, but I'm a history buff. And when I was in History 101, that was the thing. If you weren't born a U.S. citizen, you sure as hell weren't going to go for president. Well, Congress is like a step down. The Speaker of the House is the third from the president. It's not rocket science. It's just like Somalia. And she hates everybody in America, and Somalia was better. Why are these people hating? Another reason I like Donnie, and if he's going to call Kid Rock Bob, he's Donnie to me. He's got a sense of humor. It won't quit. He won't mind a bit. I love Pocahontas. Thank you, Mr. President. You have my total respect. The lucky guy, I don't think he'd never get that out of there. It was so awful. Such a slap in every citizen's face. It's a slap in the face of every person who's ever given their all for this country, to take a former president and mugshot him. Now, we've been at Bernie's for 4 flipping years. Nobody had a problem. After President Trump wins technically a third term, because Georgia fucked up his shit, I'm telling you. I live in Georgia. I know these things. You can't find, these people have been dirty since before I got here. I've been here a long time now. I picked up an accent. I'm from Chicago, Illinois. We were the first company of women to train with the Army with the men. We landed, and we thought we were going to WAC Corps. When we landed, we were like, okay, this is not Alabama, which is where you would go. We were at Fort Jackson, South Carolina, in Columbia, South Carolina. And they asked us, you want to stay, you want to go? Because they're trying to keep a platoon in the company. And, well, not a platoon, but a company in the battalion. And so, of course, all of us just said, bring it. I was 17. I was reading college level at 9, so I kind of jet through a lot of that. My parents had to sign for me to go, all that stuff. So here I am, I'm 5'2", I weighed like 90 pounds. Literally, I had to have a waiver because I was so slim. Nothing fit, because these were all men's clothes. When you go, or at the time, to go in the WAC training, you brought clothes and tennis shoes and stuff like that. They just took your luggage and locked that all up. You didn't need those. And by the time I could actually put one on, anything that was in there, I was like the Hulk. It was just at the bar club because I had gained so much. I had gained weight and muscle. But I loved it. And if you've never seen Private Benjamin with Goldie Hawn, get that one and you'll see how it kind of was. It was actually better than that. I mean, there was funnier parts. But I'll say Goldie got my part. So you get an idea how I am here from the background. This is long before we had women fighter pilots. Again, total respect, ladies. I have seen you coming off them carriers, coming back and put that puppet down. Total respect. Love you, babies. Love you. And I love the fact that we're all respected. It doesn't matter whether it's the racist thing is another thing I don't get. I see it. I've been seeing it for decades. You know, when you take one segment of a population and say, okay, but they're not hiring enough of these people, so they get to be hired first, then it's racism. It is. It just is. I don't care if they're polka dotted. It's just you. Okay, so from the get-go, when you went to a job, you knew you weren't going to be the first consideration. So that was fun. And then Spanish became available to everybody, or you didn't work. In particular, California, Texas, New Mexico, Wyoming, all of the states that used to be, run by Spain through Mexico. And yeah, it's a little history thing. We did do a Spanish war. I think there was something about an Alamo. I know I was stationed out there. I went to the Alamo. There was something about that. Just saying. What the hell is going on? And I'm not seeing but a few people trying to buck this and going, okay, this state stole billions. Nothing happened. Nobody's gone down for it. There's nobody in jail. They've been, the funny thing to me was they were repossessing the Lamborghinis until they stopped showing it. Or maybe they got them all. With the people going, it's for the children, it's for the children. What are you going to do with the children? You got to strap them to the roof? Because there's 2 seats in the car and they're not big enough for 2 people. we got the money. I paid for this. I paid. So I love that bit. So something maybe came clawed back. I don't know what they would have done with it. I think taxes have been too high for it. Well, since they implemented them, my father I was adopted at 9, and they were World War IIers, and my father used to hate Franklin Roosevelt. He kept saying, "You're taking more of my money again." I got, and that didn't actually, settle in until, I got my first check, and I didn't get a first check. I think it was 15, and I was like, "Who the fuck is FICA? Why are they taking my damn money?" I have $13.07, and they took 17. I owe them. So then I got to, I finally understood why he did not like Franklin Roosevelt, although I think taxes started occurring maybe the 1800s. I'm not sure, maybe after the Civil War. That's the other thing I like to talk about. I wish the Hippies was here. We were standing up here having a good time. I do have ways to hit. Oops, you got me again. Uh-oh. Yeah, there I am again. I think it kind of echoes to me, but if I make it lower, I'm not sure you can hear me. I do this live. I hardly edit because it's like the actors, and you ask them, hey, this movie grossed, $400 million. What did you think of yourself in it? I didn't watch that shit. So I kind of like that. I love my whiskeys. That one's getting hard to have something to add a little boost to it. My husband will probably appear behind me going in and out of the door. You can also see a bit of a new curio cabinet he got for me. And we just haven't moved things around where they're supposed to be. We, as you know, you're here with me at the bar. We are at our house. The bottom floor had to be redesigned. My husband wanted to have a bar, and he was looking for a corner bar. And he called me. He was at a $7 million house. And he said, look at the video. I said, this is the bar. Can I still get it? And I'm like, You're at a $7 million house. They have a corner. Okay, let me see. And this is huge bar, big mirror on the wall, and the bar is huge. I'm like, okay, but we're going to get rid of all the furniture. We downsized a lot in our last two moves, in particular this one. It's a small home, and it's split level, so you don't have a lot of spaces, especially the way they designed it. So my husband came in, and I had been fussing about carpets and all that. We got it in. We rented the pod to sit out there. We put we got new furniture, get rid of all the old furniture, got new furniture, and he got one cabinet for all my china. I call it a shrunk, like in Germany. My son was born there in Heidelberg, Germany. So it's huge, but it fit everything. And so the bar became the centerpiece, basically, and everything else is kind of arranged to do that. You can't see it, the whole house, because it's just me. And if I try to put it where you can see things, I look like I'm way down here, and I didn't look for a long time. So if you stick around, you're really cool. The other thing is we got the small refrigerator at the bar. We've got the ice maker. We got all this equipment here. The bar itself has marble areas where you cut your lemons and places to put all that stuff in. I mean, it's a great bar. It's got a wine rack built in. The big mirror is on the other wall, so you can't see it. It's got little drawers and everything. It's so cool. It's a really great bar. It's a Remington bar. And so we also blocked up. We had two entrances to the kitchen, so we ended up blocking off the one side door of the kitchen just to make sure there was enough room to get around the bar to the back, so we could serve ourselves, because we're retired, and we don't have a lot of socializing that we do. Although it's great when we do, you just can't beat a bar. No Uber needed. So I love doing this, and I decided I would try this 3 years ago, and then I thought, oh, well, broadcasting from a bar, that'll be really great. So I put most of the house back together, had to send the pod back. I couldn't put all my books back down here, so we were putting them in the one apartment that my grandson stayed in upstairs. We were going to make that my studio. And then I had a horrific fall and broke my leg in 3 places, and the ankle was actually disconnected. I was very hurt. I was seriously hurt. Couldn't move. And they were going to do surgery, put the metal in and all that stuff. The day the Hurricane Helene hit us, there was no power. And they're calling me, telling me, can you get here? We're looking around going, there's trees. Half our forest, we had a forest in an L on one side and then behind us. And there was just trees down everywhere. And it missed everything but my house, which I was a little upset about. But considering it didn't hit my neighbors, didn't hit our home, and things like that. We had 2 RVs, and they were parked. We have like a Wonder Lodge and then a pull behind. And they were parked on the side of the house, which is where the tornado was. It came through the back and then that way. That was where a lot of the major damage was, on the trees. And this was everywhere. Many places, it was shocking that they had not hit houses. There'd be 5 trees down. We must have had 20, in the areas that we just let be forest. And then we had to have one huge one out front taken down because it was about to go. So all of this, I'm stuck in bed. I'm immobilized. I can't do anything. I can't put any weight there. I can't get on crutches. I have to be taken in a wheelchair. So finally, a month later, they sent me to Augusta University, who was running on power by then. They were running, I think, on generator power as backup, maybe. I'm not sure. But the surgeon saw me, and he didn't wait 8 hours to get me to surgery. He was upset. So you've been like this for a month? Because it was shattered. I was just in pieces. And other injuries, and and they don't treat you for pain. And so I was doing holistic things to treat my pain. And I was in bad shape. And he was like, you got to be here at 4:30 in the morning. So it was like less than 12 hours later, because he kept me to do other tests, EKGs, and EEG, all this other stuff, blood tests and all that. I knew he'd have to cross type and all that, because that's what I did behind the scenes. I did the paperwork that they now do themselves. I hate that. That's what I did. In any event, they got the surgery done. It took 15 hours, a little over. So now I have more metal in one leg than, my car. So, but I'm happy because I got back on my feet. So I took a year off in the middle, just the point of the story. And, I had the whole year off. So YouTube had paused my station. Now, when I started this, I said, I'm an amateur, I don't know what I'm doing, but this is great. This is a great medium for social like Woodstock. We can all talk to each other. We don't have to be out in the sunshine, in the mud. We don't need no money. Just make a phone call, do a Zoom, this screen, whatever. Stop by, have a drink. If you're in Augusta, I'll come get you. That's my husband playing with one of my cats in the back. He says he doesn't want to be on camera, but he always manages to get on camera. I don't really know why I bothered to try to hide him, because, like I said, he's going to photobomb me anyway. Cheers. Oh. So we know that the hippies aren't doing that. Where are we hippies? Well, we're all retired. Most of us are busier now than when we were retired, including my husband. You can't catch him till like midnight. Yeah, he's an ace mechanic, semi-driver, instructor, all that. Like 50 years, you've got to be good at it. Bless him. There he goes again. It's 100 degrees out there, but he insists on people come every day and bring another car. It's almost started his own company because one guy actually buys cars in Atlanta at an auction. And then whatever's wrong with them, and there's inevitably always something wrong with these vehicles, they're towed to our house, and my husband's out there fixing it. And I'm like, okay. We also we didn't mean to get it started, but we now have a shelter for animals, basically cats. We feed them twice a day. We ended up adopting some that were brought to us that were infants, had to be bottle fed. You can't just take, at that point, a domesticated cat and put them out. And we tried saying no. And my husband will override me and grab it anyway. So we tend to have I don't know, a lot of cats. Both outside and inside, they get fed twice a day. They get fresh water twice a day, and they have shelters and so forth underneath the RVs. We put little homes, so we know what's going on with them. We have cameras everywhere. And I've never found any way maybe if I made an LLC, but we didn't want to actually make a business out of it. And my son and his wife and my grandchildren are talking about moving, and they want their grandparents on the same land. They want to buy 10 acres of land, and they want us to move out there where they build houses. And we're like, what? We have 2 huge storage sheds alone that we were so shocked it did not get hurt. One looks like a red barn, the red, white, nice. It's a big one. And then we have a smaller one that's almost like plastic, which again, it took it off the foundation, but it didn't hurt it. So he got a forklift and put it back on the foundation. But we're like, it cost us thousands to move here, which we did because, again, my son wanted us to come take their starter home because they found out they were having another baby. Now, his first child is from a different wife, and they've been divorced for years, and they didn't expect a baby. The baby came along. My granddaughter is 13 now, and there's 13 years difference. No, she's 14 now. No, she's not watching. They don't let her watch. Because I'm a veteran, and now I will tend to actually break down into that swearing like a sailor about my 3rd round over here. And so we're again going, look, we don't pay this off. We're old. Not that we're dying or anything. And we get people all the time go, oh, you can't beat that age. It's so cute when they card me. I love that. And I'm like, yes, I was a waitress at the Last Supper. That's a state secret. Say nothing. You have that drink now. Make it a double. And so I can't figure out why we haven't jumped up and said, you know what, this just ain't working out for us. We don't know how these people in Minnesota still have this. Well, she made 30 million or something in 1 year. And then, of course, it turned out to be a accounting error. That's a hell of an era to get rid of 30 million. I used to work as an accountant and I ran a newspaper as well. It was a very small city. Um, and I just ended up landing in it. It's amazing what I've seen. We were the first women in the regular army. I was probably one of the first women to do what I was doing with the paper and so forth. Then the Georgia State Fairgrounds, my husband and I were there from the beginning of it, the ground up. So it was the first. So we went for the first 20 years anniversaries, and after that, we were like, we built this, we're good. The kids were grown, they had kids, and we're like, I don't want to walk around that bitch for 4 hours. I'm tired. It's hard to get me to go out. I got to borrow it home. But I don't usually get too many people on this channel. And that was where I was going somehow with that story. I just go wherever. Was that I had said to my son, I said to my husband, I want to try this. And they have starter kits. I've looked it up. It's not $500. I don't have to refurbish the house, although I was going to. So they each got me a set of a beginner set. And I had, laptops and Chromebooks and tablets and all this stuff. And my husband got me the one that had the golden mine because I thought that was really cool. My son got me one, so I used it for my guests, which I usually don't have one because everybody that I know either don't watch or refuse to participate. They said because this lady hippie at the bar, they think people think they're smoking or gummies, which we are, is legal. That stuff works for pain and shit. It really does. And it's not, the other stuff is not illegal. It works great. It really does. The pain I could have done without it. They told me to take extra strength Tylenol after surgery. I tried to kill a surgeon or two. One time they put me under to do a procedure and there was only 3 of them. And I beat the 3 of them up, they said. They actually took me back and strapped me down till the meds wore off. Said, you go home and we'll redo this again. And the next time they had an 8-man team. I was like, what the hell did I do to these people? I'm still seen by the VA. I all my years since I was 17. So a long time I've been treated by the VA. Hence they were going to do the surgery and like I said, the hurricane came. And yeah, so it's on the record. So I had this huge team. When they did all that they had to do to my leg, they had to shunt the nerve and turn it completely off because what they were going to do was so bad that leg could not move. They had a lot that they had to do. So that nerve was like, it's not a tourniquet or anything. They have to go into it and I don't know what they did because there were so many of them, but that leg was numb until 2 days later. I mean, nothing. You couldn't feel nothing. Thank God. They did give me a little bit of prescription once every 12 hours. And again, I tried to hurt some of them and they frowned on that. But again, we hippies we're retired and we're busier than we used to be. And we're looking at what they're calling news, which isn't much. And all I ever hear or see when I'm trying to get an escape route on YouTube, and it's getting worse and worse with the commercials, is picking on our president. I don't know how many things he's actually gotten peace worked out in some other country. It's like tons of countries are at peace because of this president. I don't know what else he's supposed to do. He got through the pandemic. He redid factories and things to make sure that the stuff that was needed could be made in the United States because it was all being made in China. Now, he's a businessman. As soon as he saw these, that's not viable. We were paying 100 times more for our medications than anybody else on the planet. Seriously, okay? And still, it's outrageously high. I had 6 surgeries fighting breast cancer. My husband had stage 4 throat cancer. We both managed to ring the bell, and we aren't young. So we've really, gone through it in the last 10 years or so. And I'm looking, I'm like, where is my generation? Now, my husband's a little older. He technically is the baby boomer generation. They're trying to tell me I have 4 months into the baby boomer shit, and that makes me a baby boomer. And I'm steady telling them no. I was a hippie when I was 12, okay? I mean, I was. That's all you, that was it. It was the 70s, she was a hippie. And I graduated and did all my things in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Was able to retire 5 years ago now. And it's been weird. Because I was so used to, I was the boss of whatever it was I was doing. I was the boss. I told you what to do. Get the hell out of my way. I think people are slow, and I think, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just like, get the hell out of my way. That's not the way you do it this way. And so I'm pushy. I don't blame that on being a hippie. I'm just that way. Might be the red hair. And my son, since I was a doctor, my son kept bugging me, wanting me to do the DNA search on Ancestry. And I wouldn't do it. And I was like, I am not Native American, because the real family or the biological family found me. They was all Native American, Creek Nation. My sister's dark hair, dark eyes, no skin. She passed away. But I could buy that on her, not me. There were two half-brothers. The wife of the half-brother, the youngest half-brother, found us. Myself and my sister were adopted together. Turns out the mother told everybody the father stole us. So the whole family went looking in Florida and in Illinois and everywhere they thought. And she said she didn't know where the girls were. She was signing the adoption papers and standing under or next to the Christmas tree when I saw her. And at 9, I was reading college life. You really couldn't fool me. They kept telling me I didn't know my name. The hell I didn't know my name. I was completely right when I found it out after I was 30. So there's a lot going on there. And I'm not one of those kind of people that really fit in well. I'm used to, like I said, having things done my way. I'm usually so busy that I don't have time to chit chat. It's not one of my fortes, except here. And I want to do it here because I want to talk to all the hippies. I want to talk about what's going on the planet, what's going on with the future, not for maybe us, but for the children. I don't see a big future here unless you're from Somalia and live in Minnesota. You're not going to get paid a lot. Don't go to California because it's like, oh my God. They have sanctuary cities that do not follow federal law. Now, I know I might have got some things wrong, about being born an American citizen, can't hold office, but I could have swore it was secession if you denied federal law and excluded being under the federal umbrella, but only on your own. We called it a civil war. Fort Sumter fired a cannon, one bomb, and they went to war. You only had 13 colonies or some shit, maybe a few more. Georgia, of course, rose with them, but they seceded from the Union. And that's when the Civil War started. I don't know if anybody's not getting this history right, but I'm just saying. You've got sanctuary cities, and in your sanctuary cities, you're releasing people, if they do catch them, who are guilty of murder, rape, incest, child trafficking, theft, arson. I mean, the list is endless. And they keep letting them get out, and they go and kill some 20-year-old girl walking along with her dad. Never hurt nobody in her life. Or they kill a twin by stabbing him in the back 5 times, who dies in the arms of his twin because he said something that the other person thought might be racist. And then they lied, and the cops handcuffed one guy. Actually, he was the one that was stabbed 5 times. The twin was only stabbed once at the high school at a game. There was a young lady here from the Ukraine. She had lived through horrific things. She was only 20. She's untrained. She's off her second job. She should have been safe. She had made it to America. She was a true immigrant. She was learning how to speak English, not Spanish, because she was from Ukraine. She was learning English. She was paying to be here. She wanted to be a citizen. Her life was taken by a black man, stabbing her in the throat. 3 or 4 other people were in view on this video when this man did this. They did not go to that girl's aid. She died frightened, alone. It was horrific. So I don't see any good Samaritans anymore, which again is why I brought up that we do the cat thing. It costs us a couple $100 a month just to feed them. But we know you can't even get a company to give you discounted food because you have so many. You can't do that. You can't get through the company to do that. They have big bags, but that's the biggest I think is 45 pounds. And that's kind of hard to come by. Biggest is usually 30, and that's we go through 3 of those a month. So I've been trying to reach out. I never got anything back. I've also asked on here if anybody knows of a way for me to do that. Please leave it in the comments. Call me. Hit the live chat. Give an old woman a hand here. Again, hippies unite. If you don't want to be on my show, I don't care. It's not much of a show. It's just me. Start your own. Like I said, I thought it would be fun to try it. And I had seen, Joe Rogan. Love you, Joe. News radio, right? I love to start with the chair. That was so wild. It was so you were great. That was a terrible thing that happened there. Been watching for years. Peace, baby. Just others now have bars, and so it wasn't as ideal as I thought. And then I got, like I said, severely injured, and I had a year off. And I don't know where I had to change the name of the channel a little bit. I think just Wicked Lady at the bar, or maybe Lady Hippy at the bar. Might have been just Lady Hippy. I can't remember now. I have to look. It's like that when you're old. I'm jumping around going. But now on my new channel, I haven't seen too many people. My family does not support me in this whatsoever. My son and my daughter-in-law also hold key positions in the government. And so they don't do any of this stuff. Because like when I used to be in the government, you have a certain clearance and you just don't want to screw around. My son talked me into doing Facebook when I moved down here, or up here, I should say. And I was like, oh, I'm never going to like this. And then I got like addicted to it. And now I haven't been on it because I couldn't do anything for a year. I couldn't even sit and be on my computers. I couldn't do it. I was just in so much pain. I just moving a hand and you would just about scream. I was in so much pain. I hated all the doctors, but as surgeons, they were great people. They really were, but they really should treat people for pain. I understand there's something about people selling things and fentanyl and all. Hey, that's great. I'm an old woman who's just been broken badly in many places. And you left me to just die for a month. One of them, I went to, they said I could go and get a 3-day supply of pain medication if I went to the VA. And the bastard actually said to me, if your bones grow back, they'll just re-break them and put them in place. Don't worry about it. When I went to pick up the 3-day prescription, I had to see the emergency room doctor and then go to have the prescription filled. I can't move without screaming. And this was like 3 weeks after I've been injured so badly. It was horrific. It was really torturous. It was hell. If I'd have been in a hospital, I'm sure they would have maybe done something. I don't know. And I complained viciously. At one point, I actually called the suicide hotline. I was like, it's either me or them. I have bullets. I have weapons. It's just, And then they did actually give me a week's worth of pain medication every 4 hours. That worked for a week. Yeah, it was a week. And it took me over a year to actually be able to stand on my feet with my weight. It took over a year. So you can imagine how much pain one would be in if you can't even do that. Forgive me, I'm sure some people might be offended by that. I hope not. I only get these when I'm up here. I'm at my bar. I am talking to the hippies out there. Come see me. Come join me. Get your own. Let me know you've got it in the live chat. I will join you in a heartbeat on your show. I don't care. As long as we hippies, we used to get together. It was always a circle. Remember the 70s show? They got that right. Before that poor boy was taken to jail, Danny Masterson, I think his name was. I still say that was hearsay. Why wait 10 years to say these things are going on? What proof was given to take this entire man's life away? And I'm a female. It's not like I'm going to say, hey, you should grope me. But I just don't know how three or four women can say this, that, or the other happened without proof. It's hearsay. When I studied law, I got my own divorce once. The judge said, you should be an attorney. I was like, no thanks. I worked real hard at staying away from bad things. She thought it was funny. I was serious. I'd done many things. So the food stamp program, when I came back from Europe, I was in DC. I was in on the beginning of that. We helped design it, how it would run, made funny money, and all that. So that was the first one. So in my life, but I straddled 2 centuries. And in that 2 century, just the first century, if you just go to the 20th century, you went from horse and buggy to a dude literally standing on the moon in 60 years. You had thousands of years of records of this, that, all these civilizations, up, down. But none of them did what the United States did. Now, the United States just celebrated our 250th anniversary as a country. And I throw that in there. I mean, I don't do the math well, but I'm like, there is something up about the fact that it's America. Now, yeah, they started calling it the United States. For just a quick history lesson, folks. After the Civil War, the Union was again one, and they came up with the United States of America. It was just America before that. Another thing to think about when you think of those sanctuary cities. So I welcome anybody that's got an opinion on any of that stuff. I love watching, and I've been doing this since I was a kid myself, doing recordings on the big old recorders with the reel-to-reel. That's how old I am. We didn't have Xerox, we had carbon paper. I've been the secretary all my life. Like since I had my own typewriter when I was 8 or 9. And that's how I did my work, my homework. I didn't write all that shit. I typed that stuff up. I was already 3-4 years ahead anyway. So, the electric typewriter, I thought it was in heaven. I knew how to type on a typewriter. You didn't look at it. That's the way I was trained. There was no letters on the keys. You could look all day long. You didn't see that. You had to learn that board, memorize it, and you can't type faster than you can read. And when I was doing the food stamp program, I was with my ex-mother-in-law, and we did a test off. She had to be a smart ass. I loved her. She was great. She raised her kids on her own too. And they divorced, and she had the kids, kind of like me. And but we were business women first, and we took the test. And I did 147 words a minute without an error. She did 148 words a minute without an error. I was like, no. But I admire her even today. She was a great woman, worked very hard, and she managed to rise in the ranks at a time again when we women we were knocking down doors that we didn't even know we were going to kick down, and then you had to have enough ass to walk in there and actually do the job, no matter what it was, because you knocked down the door. You could go in there and go, well, no, you did what you were meant to do. And then everybody said, hey, women can do stuff. It was terrible at the end of World War II. Not that it was the end, but people like my poor mother, she never went out of the house again. It was like she was trapped in that house. She would send me for her cigarette savings. She never went outdoors hardly, literally. And we lived in the suburbs. They moved from an apartment, got a house when they adopted us. The government paid them a stipend each month for each child until they were 18. So they used that as a down payment and bought a home in suburbia in the 60s. So, but that's the way she was. And at first I didn't understand it. And then I asked her to tell me what they were doing, like, after the war ended. And it was like she had moved to California. She had worked because that dad was in the Navy. She worked as a soda jerk back then, but she worked. Now, she didn't have anything but a 6th grade education. She could barely write her name. And she'd never driven, none of those things, and she was she was an amazing woman, and yet she never got to do anything When the men, of course, came back from the war, thank gods, amen, the women had to go home. The men took the jobs, which is also understandable. For me, I became the nurse and the secretary and went in the military. I had many cousins who'd gone, nieces, nephews, so forth, wax waves. At that time, it was still, that's what you went into because the women trained different than the men and did those things. And that's why I trained to do those things. Then they fought over me when I came into the regular army because they needed people like that, which is how I ended up in San Antonio at the Academy of Health Sciences at Fort St. Houston. My step grandson, I have a stepdaughter. I hardly ever say step, but she prefers that. And I understand that she has a mother. In any event, her three children are grown as well. And we got a call from Ezra, the oldest, to tell us that he was now at Fort Sam Houston. He didn't want to tell us beforehand because he'd already gotten orders to Korea. He'd been at Fort Sam Houston almost 2 years, and that he had enlisted and became a medic because he wanted to go to Fort Sam Houston to train because of Grandma's stories. And I about cried. I was like, oh my God, because I really pushed my grandson. I put him through ROTC. I made him do all that, and he ended up in Korea as well. So I really pushed them because to me, it was a learning experience. They got to see the world. They didn't have to worry about a job. They knew what they were going to wear to work, that kind of thing. But you mature, you grow up. And it made me feel really good. It turned out that both my grandchildren, step and grandson, said to me that the reason, and they told other people that, which really hit me hard, that the reason they had gone active duty Army was because of Grandma. And, my grandson said, if Grandma can wear Army boots and be the first woman to train with men, I can sure as hell wear them too. And he did. He did a great job. A lot of us went into government work afterwards, like I did. And for some reason, I always end up next to a base. I don't know why. I won't even be working on the base, and I'll end up living next to a base. It's like, I don't know what you would call that, fortune, fate. But yeah, so I end up there. And I know there's a lot of hippies out here that are like me. And I decided to try to reach out and say, come on, let's talk like we used to do in the 70s or the 80s. What the hell happened to the barcode? We are now unpaid, untrained cashiers. We go in, we get our shit, we rack it up, we pay for it, it's put in the bags, we load it up. They got people standing against the wall looking just to make sure we didn't miss one. That's one hell of a job. I used to, as a second job, after I wasn't doing any government work, I was running a newspaper and stuff. In any event, I worked at a little local grocery store on the weekends, and we had to count change back. It didn't tell us what it was. We had to type it in. That was the 90s, okay? It wasn't that long ago. And I bet, let's get rid of that. I was going to say, sometimes my husband will call and say, what are we doing for dinner? So I told him ahead of time, I'm making dinner, leave me alone. So maybe he won't photobomb us. We got about 15 minutes left. I haven't seen anybody pop up on live chat or comment, but I generally don't, and then I'll hear from them later. If I do check, I try not to do it on my TV. There it goes. It wants to do this again. There we go. If I move, I generally like to put it on the other side because I tend to move a bit while I'm talking. In any event, I might look at the little screen and I don't have a problem, but I put it on. We have like a 72 inch, something like that in the living room. And because it's he mounted it up. So you can see it from the entire area and including the bar. We usually just have music on it. That's what people want. And most of us just listen to music. There's just so much shit that's going on in the world that we're like, fuck that. I like that song, what the fuck. But then I'm an old broad, so like I said, this is for kids. If you're a hippie, if you're out here and you're retired and you're going, what the fuck? Why the fuck am I paying all these taxes just to hear some idiot on NBC or whoever's clip say, yep, they stole 15 billion and that's just Minnesota. And yes, they're a sanctuary city here and there. And who wants to hear that crap? I want to know, and I believe that it should have been done. I believe that the National Guard and Reserve should have been marched into these cities and controlled, arrested, and placed back into federal hands. It's civil war without bullets, which is a good thing. When it comes to that, it's a good thing. But when you let in 40 million people and say it was only 12 million, even I can't count that. I've loved Texas all my life. I also believe in reincarnation. Write that down. Riddle me that one. I got some stories, but people don't talk about those either. But we hippies talk about everything. So I get up here 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I get to my bar and I get to have my drink and I get to have my little cigarillo, and I get to talk to everybody that I think is like my age and my mentality, what have you. We hippies have been so maligned. And even my grandson, I about slapped him, and my son said, stop talking. Your grandmother is so pissed right now. My grandson's looking, because I almost raised him. I mean, he was always underfoot. And my son was just shocked that my grandson didn't get it, and I'm trying to not slap him right away from the table. I'm sitting next to him. And my son knows, don't puff up to your mom, for his case, or your grandmother, because she will find a baseball bat, a gun. She don't care. I don't take that, no. You be disrespectful to me, you better be running. And you better be able to outdo me, because I have things that will reach out and touch you. I won't have to run. And I also, for the sake of everybody else on the planet, since I was 17, I've stayed armed my entire life. One time I didn't. I was pinned down at a parade, in an M16, barricaded himself in an RV, and shot the fuck out of the place. And I had to grab a woman and 3 kids to try to keep them down. We were direct fire in both directions. You couldn't move. We were just pinned down, and I didn't have a weapon. And that was the last time I ever went without a weapon. Because, no, I couldn't have taken out the guy, even not with a small one. M16, I probably could. But, with a handgun, probably not. With a defensive headshot and headgear. So, in any event, that was the last time. I said, that will never happen again. It's not just saving my life that I'm thinking about here. I'm thinking about the fact that when that bastard's reloading, unless he doesn't have gear, if I've got a good shot, I will take it. If I don't, I'm not going to. I'm not going to lure him that I can do something about the situation. But I'm going to make sure that I can, if it pops up, and I'm in the crowd, maybe I can stop that person from killing that 3-year-old child or that pregnant woman. These things are happening everywhere. I don't know what the hell's on. When I did the DNA thing, which I mentioned earlier, I'm British. I told my son I was. I have hazel eyes, red hair. If I look at the sun, I burn. So obviously, and it came back the same way. She's British. A little bit of Irish, of course, the Scottish thrown in, but it's British. She's British. The red hair was a dead giveaway on the other stuff. So is the hazel eyes. My ophthalmologist told me when I had double surgery, he said, you have true hazel eyes. That's very rare. And I was like, what do you mean? He said, only 2% in the entire world have true hazel eyes. I said, well, what's the difference? Because sometimes they look dark green to me or light green to me. Sometimes they look like a cloudy gray. He said, that's the difference. Depending on your mood or whatever's going on, your eyes will change color automatically. And just now when I was examining you, your eyes went through 3 colors. I was like, oh, well, okay. I'm like, what's going on with Britain? They're telling everybody they can't do this on Facebook. They're putting moms in jail because they put something on, I don't know, Instagram. What the hell? What? No, they don't have something that guarantees them the right to free speech. We do, and idiots are using that against us, and nobody stopped that shit either. Another thing I want to talk about at my round table, we hippies. I've had some people tell me, oh, there is nobody out there that wants to talk about these things. The hippies are dead. I don't think so. So I'm hoping you guys out there could prove me wrong. If only one of you heard me today, You don't have to tell me. Tell somebody else. Start your own. And then call me. I don't know. Like I said, I just get up here and I just talk to y'all because I think that this is the best thing since air conditioning. We can actually talk about the world and what the absolute fuck off. It's a clusterfuck. It's just, the United States has lost trillions upon, we owe trillions. We're in debt to that in our home country. Why? We weren't getting these stipends from people. They were using we would buy their goods. They wouldn't buy ours. There were no tariffs. Now everybody's mad because there are tariffs. Come on. It's enough. Why are Americans paying $100 more or 100 times more for medications than anybody else in the world? But you have a problem with a man who can stop war. You had a problem with a man who can stop graft and outright theft of every American. Every American. You can call it the United States if you want to. I don't usually use that term because if there's still a sanctuary city fucking going on, excuse the language, not really. I don't care about that. Why are they still there? Why aren't there more of us standing up and going, I didn't agree to that shit? No, I don't want us to have a civil war, but I don't want people to steal trillions of dollars to put the next 14 generations in debt. And they're blaming the hippies. My grandson and I had a huge falling out because he told me that he was paying me my Social Security. Okay, look here, boy. I put my fucking money in. They're not even giving me my fucking money. Let's get that straight to begin with. They're telling me how much I can get, and that's all. Not how much I've already paid and I can get. No, this is how much you will get. Also, the unemployment that you paid your entire life since you were like 15 years old, you're never going to see a cent of that back. Also, the Medicaid and Medicare that you have paid your entire life, you don't get to use unless you go to Humana or some other insurance company to use your Medicaid and Medicare. Otherwise, it's worthless. I mean, heads up, guys, okay? Yeah, it's worthless. You have to pay for medical insurance, then they say that's now working. It's not. My husband does it. Yeah, 140 some odd dollars a month he pays for Medicare. He's been paying it 50, 60 years, so have I. What the fuck? Just like the song, what the fuck? We need to get together and opine about this stuff. Either they think we're all stupid or they think we can't do anything about it. And they're right, because we don't talk about it. We don't get together. Why not? I'm not saying start, like I said, a civil war, but I'm saying it's time to wake everybody up. It's our age group that they've taken from us and taken from us. They've slammed us. They've labeled us. We're not any of those things. And in most cases, we didn't get to take part in any of those things. The things that we did get to take part in, especially the women who are now fighter pilots, firefighters, so forth and so on. We kicked those doors down. We hippies did. We were the ones that said, do it again, do it again. And those women did. And it's time they were recognized. Now, I'm not saying, I want a ticker tape. I'm just saying the hippies, what we did was a good thing. What we held on to was our principles. And our Bibles and our shotguns. You bet your sweet bippies. You be in Seattle and call a cop. Good freaking luck, because you're probably going to be dead, your shot burned, your house on fire, your car vandalized, because they're not coming to help you and they told you that. What's going on in our country that this is okay? I don't think so. And I don't think there's anybody out there besides me that's saying that. It's time for us to stop being scared of the government. Yeah, they weaponized the government. We all knew they did that. They did that in the 70s when we started the movement, in particular for the women. Everybody goes, oh, they had the thing to vote in the 1900s and 1960, whatever. No, they got to vote, but that was it. It's like I said, my mother never left again because she couldn't get a job. She had a 6th grade education. They didn't educate them. There wasn't government schools. There wasn't all this stuff. There wasn't free lunches. There wasn't none of that when I was going to school and college. Nobody paid my college debt off but me with my third job. That's tough. I got to go because my time is up for today. I'll be back on Friday. In the meantime, keep it real, guys. Peace out.